Okay, YouTube, I'm going to be on the level with you now. This isn't my first attempt. This is actually my second attempt at YouTube. The first time around wasn't so successful. I got in my own head about it all and psyched myself out of it before I even edited the first video. That was about 2 years ago, and looking back, that was kind of a blessing in disguise for me. It gave me more time to write, more time to understand myself, and more time to find that all-important voice that I'd lacked for so many years. Don't get me wrong, to try all of this again is just as terrifying as it was back then. I am a textbook introvert who has only just come to conquer social situations by getting absolutely pissed drunk and making borderline offensive jokes. To now step in front of the camera, turn on the mic and get used to my stupid face and my stupid voice and my stupid ginger hair took a lot more out of me than it should have done. But I've done it. Because I've had to. See, I've spent the better part of the past 3 years tapping into a keyboard and learning to write in the best way possible, by just doing it. Every day I blogged my way into oblivion, writing about anything and everything that I could. I had no agenda, no real topic. I even wrote about dog shit, for God's sake. Clearly what I wrote about never really mattered. If it piqued my interest, I was all over it, tearing it apart and finding my own weird interpretation of it. But my words always did tend to gravitate towards one thing that always captured my imagination. Video games. The more I wrote about games, the more I came to appreciate the art form and really take note of the delicate intricacies of the medium. I convinced myself that writing in games media wasn't only an obvious career choice, but an ideal one. So I just went for it. Dedicated myself to writing about games and began to move the pieces. I started volunteering for a startup website, I attended video game conventions when I could, and I even managed to snag a couple of review copies for some games. But I never really felt like my voice was being heard. There was just so much white noise being broadcast from the larger media outlets that my meagre WordPress stage simply wasn't impressive enough. My 1500-word editorials were getting lost in an ocean of nonsense news stories, hit pieces, and character assassinations over a silly joke. Because of this, I began to lose respect for the media that I desperately wanted to be a part of. I pretty much stopped reading it. I couldn't bring myself to scroll through another IGN Top 100 list, or read yet another oversensitive opinion piece on why Tracer's arse offended you. It was borderline ridiculous content, and yet it was indicative of an issue that was much wider than games media alone. Online media, as we know it, is dwindling. Its grip is slipping. Just as it took the crown from print media, this very same online media is now being usurped by independent content creators. The doors are now wide open, having been blown apart by social media, blogging platforms, and free video services. This freedom to create without a gatekeeper is now shifting the paradigm on who we get our content from and how we receive it. You can see this in the numbers that are flocking to independent creators, like Rooster Teeth, Jim Sterling, Kind of Funny, the Joe Rogan Experience, the Rubin Report, the Young Turks, and even Philip DeFranco. And that's just to name a scant few. This shift becomes ever more evident when you see the way in which traditional outlets are now reacting to this new threat. Recently, the Wall Street Journal wrote a hit piece on YouTube megastar PewDiePie in an attempt to tear his content and his reputation to shreds. This did in fact harm PewDiePie's brand. It prompted YouTube Red to cancel his paid-for content, and in turn caused Disney Maker Studios to drop the internet star entirely. Not too long after this, Kind of Funny co-founder Colin Moriarty was lambasted in a very similar fashion after a simple dad joke that he made on Twitter. This inconsequential and utterly harmless tweet led to Colin being branded as a sexist, as a bigot, and in one case, by the International Business Times, a racist. Yeah, a fucking racist. Racist! Oh, God, a fucking racist. Jesus Christ. Racist. That's journalism. That's what I wanted to be a part of. Yeah. These kind of tactics that online media outlets are beginning to use aren't that far removed from the very same ones that print media have begun to use over the past decade or so. Sensationalist headlines have become the norm within the press. They are essential to attracting new readership, and yet they do more harm than good to producing honest and open dialogue. In the last few weeks alone, the Daily Mail has been preying on the tragedies of the Westminster terrorist attack in order to wage their own war on the entire fucking internet. In this headline from April 2nd, they went balls deep into an attack on German YouTuber, and I'm going to murder your fucking name right now, sir, and I'm sorry, Jörg Sprawl, for demonstrating how stab-proof vests are flawed in their design and aren't actually stab-proof. I'm assuming that's how you say it. Jorg Sprawl. I did listen to him say it. I think that's how he said it, but his English isn't great. So. That or Jorg Brave. Probably not that, is it? Anyway, their piece of shit article claimed he was educating terrorists and that Google were making blood money from all of it. If you check out his channel though, you'll find that Jorg Sprawl is actually just an engineering nut, and he makes these beautifully handcrafted slingshots himself. Just look at him. He fucking loves it. He's popular too, with over 1 million subscribers. And yet somehow, some way, the Daily Mail have taken this innocent man's livelihood, twisted it, and tenuously linked it with an act of pure, unadulterated evil, just to sell some fucking newspapers and simultaneously shit all over the one thing that is killing their industry. Worse still is that they did it in the most deplorable way possible, by exploiting the sympathy of the British people and hitting on those raw emotions after the Westminster tragedy. Seeing the media decline in this way, not just in numbers but integrity, really soured my love of it all and pushed me away from even wanting an inroad to it all. I felt uncomfortable attaching myself to something that felt so hate-filled and so hard done by, and so unwilling to move with the swell of change. I was on the cusp of doubling down on this as well, on chasing the dream of writing for these kind of outlets. These were the kind of publications I wanted to write for. And if you'd have come to me 6 months ago, I probably would have taken any job at any newspaper or any online outlet. I admired them, I looked up to them, and in some cases I even contacted them for work. But this staunch realisation prompted me to adapt my content or die in a spineless sea of clickbait desperation. That went deep, didn't it? Let's try and lighten this up a bit. Let's get this mood going. And all of that sadness and all of that depravity brings me here to YouTube in all my visual and audio glory. Sure, this is all a bit sketchy and it's probably going to take me a fucking decade to edit this video if I remember to put the memory card in, but this right here is going to be the future. Creative independence, although a ball-busting slog of a life choice, is beginning to resonate with people. You can see that in the recent reaction to Colin Moriarty. After his tussle with the media and eventual departure from Kinda Funny, Colin founded a project called Colin's Last Stand. This project offered his audience an honest and open political discourse, with a smattering of history thrown in just for good measure. In the scant few weeks it's been live, Colin's Patreon has gathered more than $41,000 in support. And that's per month. It is an outstanding success, and it speaks volumes to a growing group of people who are becoming tired with traditional media and are searching for more open and honest content akin to Colin's. But why did I adapt? Why did I choose to morph my words into video form? Wasn't I independent and honest enough anyway in my writing? Well, yes, I was. But the answer to those questions is far simpler than you may think. It's all your fault. You don't like to read anymore. I don't like to read anymore. It's too active. It's too much of a time sink. And unless the writing is very, very engaging, which this certainly isn't, then you're sure as shit are not going to see it through to its conclusion. Right here, right now, that very same content you would have read is being presented to you in this more consumable, more passive format. Video does not demand your attention as much as written content does. And that's the very reason, I'm hoping anyway, that more of you are going to watch this. Not convinced? Okay, let me put it to you this way. In the past 24 hours, how many videos have you watched? Either scrolling through social media or actively seeking them out online. Alright, got that number? Now in that same time period, how many articles did you read? And I don't mean those BuzzFeed, Lad Bible bullshit articles. I mean bona fide articles, where the writer has had to string more than 4 sentences together and doesn't include a fucking quiz about what your sex life says about you. Now I would put my life on it that you have watched more videos in the past 24 hours than you have read articles. Hell, I would bet that quite a lot of you have watched more videos in the past 24 hours than articles you've read in the past 7 days. Now, I'm not pointing that out to illustrate how lowbrow us Westerners have become. I'm pointing it out to demonstrate the universal appeal of video and how the tide is gradually shifting in regards to online entertainment. Unlike the media who is resisting this shift and in some cases fighting it, I'm choosing to ride the wave and just see where it takes me. Coming to understand this importance of video content and recognising the shambolic death throes that traditional media is currently going through could not have come at a better time for me. It's mobilised me more than anything ever has done. And within the past 3 weeks I've designed, built and thrown myself very fucking hard into producing this YouTube channel. It excites me, it terrifies me, and it inspires me more than anything I've ever undertaken. Not only does this appear to be the future of online media and the way that we consume our content, but this also feels like the future for me. For the first time, this genuinely feels like something I can imagine myself doing for the rest of my life. And I still haven't gotten to the best part yet. Nobody is in charge of this. I am free. There's no editor I need to pitch my idea to. There's no political agenda I need to align with. And there's not a single inch of unnecessary censorship. I can do whatever I see fit here. I can show this picture of Jessica Negri getting her Pikachu tits out whilst I wax lyrical on the current state of online media. And you know who's going to stop me? Nobody! Nobody! Because I'm in charge. Because I'm the editor, and the editor thinks Pikachu tits are fucking relevant. So please, friends, join me. Join me on this journey of free thinking and free ideas, where nothing is too sensitive, nor too controversial, nor too ridiculous to bring into question. I am here to entertain, inform, and hopefully make you laugh a little bit along the way. Thank you for watching. That took a while. See, if I align my penis with the marker, I know I'm on point. Because it goes all the way to the floor. And, you know, so I just flop it on. Drop the tip ever so gently on the duct tape. And then I know I'm central. Fucking what am I on about?